Hawks fans, how is it going? Welcome to the season preview edition of Hawks Recap. It's about time. It was a long summer, especially after not doing too hot in the playoffs. But we're not going to talk about that because we have a new season ahead of us. We got new opportunities right in front of us. We got a Stanley Cup to strive for. This is going to be a good season. I can feel it. I can feel it in my bones. If you are just a regular hockey fan, not a Hawks fan, just maybe a fan of hockey in general or maybe another team, hopefully not the Blues, that's okay. Nobody's perfect. Welcome anyway. Man, off-season is over. Training camp is over. Prospect tournament is over. Champions. Preseason's over. Somebody wake up Green Day because September's over as well. This week, we begin the regular season against the defending champion Pittsburgh Penguins. We got a lot of last year's playoff teams right away on the schedule, so we are jumping into the fires early this season. It's a hot start. It's going to be a good one. So let's take a look at the lines. Let's take a look at the stories from training camp and off-season, kind of, sort of. Look ahead to the season, go through the games, see how we think we're going to fare out in the Central Division and the Western Conference in general. And just get ready for that regular season. Now, before I jump into this, I do want to take a moment here quickly before I forget that because the regular season is starting in a couple days here, this is the last push we have for you to help me donate as much money as possible to the Cancer Research Institute. Basically, what I'm doing is donating $100 plus another $1 per like my previous video got. I'm going to link that video in the description. Leave a like on that video, not this one. I mean, you can on this one as well, but that video is the one that counts in the description. If you haven't liked it already, go do so. The more likes that gets, the more money I will be donating to the Cancer Research Institute in honor of Eddie Olczyk. So that's just, I just wanted to get that out of the way before I move on. Now that that's out of the way, let's talk about some things that you might want to remember, especially if you've been living under a rock this offseason. We no longer have our beloved Hjalmarsson. He is off in Arizona. We no longer have TVR or Kruger or Darling. Those guys are now in Carolina. If you are looking for a team in the East to support, may I suggest the Carolina Hurricanes. They are essentially the Blackhawks East now, especially with having Teravainen and formerly Bickle. They're an upstart team too. Might make some waves. But we also lost the lovable Panarin, although we did gain Saad from that, so that's kind of a wash. Really happy to have Saad back. Sad to see Panarin go. I don't know. It's a toss-up. But those are kind of big ones. Of course, you can't really talk about big ones unless you talk about Marian Hossa. He is on long-term IR dealing with a disease, a skin infection that he gets from playing with his gear and the sweat that's all involved with it and the medications that he uses to try and control that. We're going to put him on LTIR unless the league says otherwise, and we don't quite know what the league's going to say yet because they haven't made their decision because they're just dragging their feet apparently. I don't know. But if he's not able to be put on long-term IR, that could really put a ruffle into our plans for the season. That wouldn't be good, especially considering we wouldn't be able to sign Cody Franzen, who did pretty decently in his PTO during the preseason for us. So, yeah. But although we lost a bunch of guys that we're accustomed to, we also gained some really good players. We have Brandon Saad back. Connor Murphy has a lot of upside. He's not a Hjalmarsson for sure, but he's a younger guy who is under contract for longer. If he can continue to improve and become a defensive defenseman similar to Hjalmarsson, then that could turn out to be a really good trade. We're not really saving all that much cap space with him. Anton Forsberg, backup goalie that we got along with Saad in that Columbus trade, he looked pretty good in preseason. I mean, we're going to miss Darling for sure, but, you know, a backup's still a backup. And if you can have a somewhat solid backup, I mean, you're not really expecting starter quality from them. You just need somebody to come in every now and then, put in a decent workload, put in a decent job, and do all right and hold things together. While Crawford, who is severely underrated always, while he gets some rest, that's a big plus, and I think Forsberg can really do that. But we'll see once the regular season starts how he kind of fits in. But I'm looking forward to seeing him step up into that backup role. We also have a bunch of young guys. I mean, Hayden, who came in late last year, looked pretty darn good in the few games he was in. We got Schmaltz, who, my God, he looks great in the preseason. He is the guy that is going to be taking that next step this year. His sophomore season, this seems like it's going to be a good one for him. We got Forsling looking to take another step here too. We got DeBrincat, the pure goal scorer from the OHL. He made the lineup out of training camp and preseason. I didn't think that was going to happen, but it did. He's going to be playing on a line with Kane, most likely. That second line, if that's anchored by Anisimov or Schmaltz, hopefully either of those two centermen learn how to win faceoffs. But with DeBrincat and Kane, whoo, that could be a fun line to watch for sure. Very similar to Kane and Panarin the last 2 years. And now that Saad's back on a line with Taves, that top line, Saad, Taves, Panic, I mean, that's no longer only a one-line system we have. We have two solid lines right at the top, and we're not even talking about the solid contributions we might very well get in the bottom six as well. We could be a very, very good team once again. If, now that's a big if, everything and everyone play like they're capable of. Speaking of the bottom six, we can't forget about Sharp. Patrick Sharp is back. He's going to probably be playing mostly on the third line, maybe come up to that second line, maybe the first. Who knows? Coach Q jumbles lines all the time. I don't even know why I'm talking about lines with this, but I can see him probably playing third line most of the time, alongside either Anisimov or Schmaltz, whoever doesn't get that second line center position. And then you got Hartman or Hayden on that other wing. Dropping down to the fourth line, probably Hayden or Hartman, along with Tanner Caro and Wingels. And then over the course of the year, obviously there's going to be shuffling. Injuries are going to occur. We're going to call up guys like Jordan Tutu and Vinny Hinostroza. We're going to see a lot of different kind of line combinations, especially on the bottom two lines. So nothing set in stone. This is kind of just how it is right now. As far as defense goes, we got Keith and Murphy and Seabrook and Forsling and Kempney and Rutta and Franzen. No more Roosevelt. He's on long-term IR. So that's kind of a plus. That's nice. The Jerko experiment seems to be over as well. But look, I don't really see a whole lot of big weak spots like we have in years past, last couple of years. It's not necessarily, there's not necessarily great stuff, but there's a lot of good stuff happening with a lot of these lines, both forwards and defensemen. It seems like a very solid, even dispersion, if you will. So that's actually one of the things I'm really excited about, is if we can just hopefully have the top two lines kind of do a lot of scoring, but then have a third and fourth line that helps out in certain times. It's not something we've gotten a lot of, at least lately. If we can improve our penalty kill percentage, that's going to help a lot too. Interesting to see how the power play looks with Cody Franzen on it, and how we hopefully don't just try to do what we did with Panarin and just set him up at the dot and try and do one-timers all the time. Very predictable, not a lot of movement going on. If we can do something different, things could look up for our special teams. So that's pretty much it in terms of personnel that has happened over the course of offseason, training camp, preseason, and the cuts that have happened after preseason. These are the guys we're going into the season with. Let me know what you think about all of our players, about who you think you'll see on the lines together, and who you think will have a breakout year maybe. Let me know in the comments below. With that all talked about now, let's move along from the players to the actual games, starting with the Pittsburgh Penguins this upcoming Thursday night. So obviously, starting off with Pittsburgh, they're the defending Stanley Cup champions, back-to-back champions, but we get them at home. I think we're going to come out with the win on this one because, well, we got a little bit of a chip on our shoulder, and Pittsburgh's probably a little bit tired after the 2 short summers that they've had. We're going to go win against Pittsburgh for game number 1. Game number 2, home against Columbus Blue Jackets. I'm going to give us a win as well there. We're going to see Panarin playing against his former team. We got Saad playing against his former team. But yeah, we're going to come out with the win there. Now, first 2 games at home. We go on the road to Toronto and Montreal. I think we're going to come out with a loss against Toronto, but come out with a victory, possibly an overtime victory against Montreal. We're back home against Minnesota and Nashville. I think we're going to win both those games. Wouldn't surprise me if those go into overtime or shootout as well. Then we go on the road to St. Louis. I think we win that one as well. St. Louis is kind of decimated by injuries right now, so that definitely plays in favor of the Hawks. It's going to be another close one, though. Then we come back home. We play Edmonton. I'm thinking that's going to be our first home loss of the season. It's going to be against Edmonton. Then we go on the road out west against Arizona and Vegas. I think we win both those games as well. Nashville at home, I think we lose that one. And then away to Colorado, for some reason, I think we lose that one too. Colorado just somehow gives us fits every so often. I think that's going to be a night they do. We just probably won't have our stuff or something like that. But overall, October, good month. 8-4-0, I have the Hawks going, starting out the season strong. Let's move on to November here. We start the month off against Phil. We start the month off against Philadelphia at home. I think we win that one. We go on the road to Minnesota. I think we win that one as well. And then the latter half of a back-to-back at home against Montreal, I think we squeak that one out as well. Start the month off 3-0. That's a good start to the month for sure. We go off to Philadelphia, and I think we're going to lose that one. That will be the first loss of the month of November. We continue a 2-game road stand in Carolina. We face some former Hawks, and I think we lose that one in overtime. I think Darling puts on a good show for his former team and stones them cold. Coming back home, we play the New Jersey Devils and the New York Rangers. I think we win both of those games. Then we go on the road, play Pittsburgh, but back in their arena, I think we lose that one. I think we also lose the next game to Tampa Bay at their place. But I think we squeak out a win against Florida, and that'll round out that 3-game away road trip. When we come back home, we play Anaheim. We have a back-to-back there. I think we win against Anaheim, and then we go on the road to Nashville, where I think we'll probably lose in that one. Then we come home for the last game of November against Dallas. I think we squeak that one out. I have us going 8-4-1 in November. Once again, a good month and a good solid 2-month start to our regular season. We start December off with a back-to-back with an away game against Dallas. I think we lose that one after beating them for the last game of November. The latter game of the back-to-back at home against the Kings, I think we win. Then we go on the road to face Washington. I think we get an overtime loss there. Then we come home for a 3-game homestand against Buffalo, Arizona, and Florida. I think we win all 3 of those, although they're probably going to be pretty close games. Maybe an overtime win, maybe 2 of them. I think Buffalo's probably going to have the best chance of the 3 to knock us off in that stretch there. We go on the road to Winnipeg, where I think we'll have our win streak snap there. Come back home to face Minnesota. I'm counting that as a win. Then we go on the road for a long road trip against Dallas, New Jersey, Vancouver, Edmonton, and Calgary to finish off December. I think we're going to lose to Dallas and New Jersey. We're going to beat Vancouver, but then we're going to lose to Edmonton and Calgary. I think we finish off December 6-6-1. Not that great, but not terrible month. Moving on to January, we finish up that long road stand in New York against the Rangers. I think we lose that one as well. I think that's a 3-game losing streak for us at the end of December and into January there, into the new year. We come back home against the Vegas Golden Knights, where I believe we will pick up a victory there. Then we play Edmonton at home, but I am thinking we're going to lose. And that would make the halfway point in the season. The Hawks would be 23-16-2. That's good for 48 points. On pace for 96. Not too shabby of a first half of the season. But let's keep going. We go on the road against Ottawa. I think we lose that one. Come back home with the back-to-back and lose against Minnesota. Another 3-game losing streak. I feel like January is that seems to be the month that the Hawks struggle a lot. This is just their annual January slump here, really. Come back home, so we had Minnesota. Then we play Winnipeg. I think we have an overtime loss there. Play Detroit. I think we get the win. New York Islanders win. Tampa Bay at home. Overtime loss. Toronto at home, I think we lose just barely. Probably a 1-goal game there, but no overtime, no loser point. Then we go on the road, play Detroit. That is the latter half of a back-to-back, but I think we win that one. Then we finish off January against Nashville in Nashville, and I think we finish off January with an overtime loss there. January, Blackhawks record is 4-5-3. Once again, January slump. Now we're into February, the dead of winter. We are away against Vancouver. I think we win that one. Then we go to Calgary. I think we lose that one. But then we come back home to play Calgary again, and I think we squeak that one out. Home against Dallas, that's a win, at least this time. Then we go on the road for a 3-game road trip against Minnesota. I think we get an overtime loss there, loser point. Against Arizona and Vegas, I say we win both of those. Those are back-to-back games. Then we're back home for 5 straight games against Anaheim, where I think we'll lose that one. Then we play Washington, the Kings, the Senators, and the Sharks. I think we win all 4 of those. Get a 4-game win streak going there. That's a nice little pick-me-up after the January slump. Then we go on the road to Columbus to finish off February, and I think we finish off once again with an overtime loss. February is a 9-2-2 month. Pretty darn good. Best month of the year so far. But have we peaked too early for playoffs? That could be the case. Now we're into March. Spring is kind of on the horizon. We're starting to make that playoff push a bit. Start the month off with a loss to the San Jose Sharks away in San Jose. Then we are on the road to Los Angeles and Anaheim. I think we win both those games. We come back home to play Colorado. We win that one as well. Home against Carolina, I see us losing that. Away against Boston, then home against Boston. Those are back-to-back games. I think we lose the away one, win the home one, split that series there. We go on the road to Winnipeg, lose that one. Away to Buffalo, I think we pick up a quality win there. Then we come home, latter half of a back-to-back again against St. Louis. I think they get some guys back from injury, and they're starting to put some things together. I think we lose that one. Home again to Colorado. I think we win. Home to Vancouver. Another win there. Go on the road for one game against the Islanders. I think we lose that one. Then we have San Jose and Winnipeg at home. I think we beat San Jose but lose to Winnipeg. And then we finish off March with an away tilt in Colorado. I think we win that one. March is a 9-7-0 month for us. Pretty darn good. February and March for us. We are looking all right for the playoffs, that's for sure. Finally, we have 3 games left in the season in April, right before the playoffs. Hopefully we don't go on a losing streak like we did last year. I see us losing in overtime to St. Louis. And then we play at home against them as well, but I think we win that one. And then last game of the season against Winnipeg. In Winnipeg, I think we lose that one straight up, go 1-1-1 in April, and finish the season with 98 points at a record of 45-29-8. Solid season. I'm thinking probably 3rd or 4th place in the Central. There's so many teams in the Central, with the Blues, with the Wild, the Preds, the Stars, the Jets. I think really the only team I don't think that's really going to be vying for a playoff spot in the Central is going to be the Avalanche. Other than that, all the rest of the teams are really going to be fighting, and they really could kind of slot anywhere. It's really going to depend on slumps and injuries and all that kind of stuff. So, like I said, I don't think the Hawks get the top seed in the West this year, but that's okay. We see how that worked out for us. I think we get 3rd or 4th. Head into the playoffs and hopefully a better showing, hopefully make a run for another cup. But that's a long ways away. We have a lot of time. We gotta get through the first couple games here and just take it one game at a time. Cannot forget the 9 out of the first 12 games are against last year's playoff teams in this season. So it's gonna be a hot start. No way around that one. So anyhow, those are my predictions for the year. Let me know what you think. Who do you think is going to finish on top of the West? Who do you think is going to finish on top of the Central? How do you think the Blackhawks are going to do? Do you think they're going to get 98 points like I think they're going to get? Do you think they're going to make a run? Let me know in the comments below. I am excited to hear what you think. And don't forget to like that other video so that I can donate more money. Man, hockey. We're here, baby. We are here. I hope to see you guys for the entire ride of the season. Enjoy the season. Let's go, Hawks.